Hello there. So I'm here with Michael and George, and we're here to talk about emerging technology and gaming technology in the curriculum. So please guys, introduce yourselves.
Thank you, Michael. So my name is Michael Bradbury. As you said, I am the Director of Education for the Centre of Entertainment Arts. I was the first person to introduce game design to 16 to 18 in this region, into the curriculum. I also introduced esports and delivered the esports curriculum in this region. And I'm very proud to say that I was the first Unreal authorized instructor in this region as well. So I do a lot of work with Epic, and I ran the first Unreal academic centre, I believe, just a little bit before you, in the region as well. So I'm very passionate about pedagogy, curriculum design, and integrating emerging and gaming technologies into the curriculum as well. Not just from a gamification, but actually to underpin and to enhance the pedagogy and the curriculum.
Fantastic.
Okay, hello Michael. I'm actually George Kashami. I'm the Director of the Center for Research, Innovation and Design at the American University in Dubai. So technically the center itself works on four main pillars, which is innovation, research, design, and continuing education. One of the main things that we try to do is to actually bring in emerging technologies and try to inject them into the curriculum. We started back in 2019, and now we have more than 40 plus courses that actually uses the emerging technologies that are at the center.
That's great.
Perfect. And I think you've actually got a demo, some of the work that you've produced actually. We can share now if you want to talk about some of the work that you produced in your center as well.
Absolutely. So the center itself, actually, we have a lot of courses that deals with virtual reality, augmented reality, and also artificial intelligence, specifically generative AI. The video that you're going to see now is one of the outcome that showcase how students were able to design a virtual space using virtual reality inside virtual reality. And the specific in this type of course is that we try to gamify kind of the course by adding the whole design brief was called Gamifitecture, and the idea is to try to ask students to design spaces for playfulness and virtual spaces for playfulness, of course, using emerging technology such as virtual reality.
Cool. Is that video showing? We can't just to see if you can talk over some of the video. Do we know if we got the B-roll?
Playing the video?
We can play it later.
We can play it later.
Let's play it later when there's a problem.
Fun to watch later.
Yeah. Okay.
So, just a few questions for you guys. So what are the potential benefits of using gaming technology in the classroom, and how can it enhance student engagement and motivation?
So I can speak a little bit on this, having done this previously, and there's a lot of research around this at the moment, and Epic Games are doing a real huge piece of this about unboxing the curriculum and integrating their gaming technology, also Unity, the other game engine that we'll talk about later as well, into the curriculum. One example they use, which is a really easy example, but it's the recreation of historical events that you can actively walk around. So that engagement, you're not reading textbooks anymore. You're walking around those environments. You're interacting with those historical environments, those battles that happen. You can see them play out in real time. And that enhances I'm quite interested in history, but was very bored in school, looking at pictures of drawings that recreated battles or recreated events. Now you can actually live them with the sounds, the feel. It's really, really immersive. So that level of engagement in the curriculum is really easy to do. You don't need to be an expert in that. You don't need to be an expert in the gaming technology. You just need to be able to provide the students with that. So it works fantastically in history. In geography, you can see real-time erosion. You can play around with what's happening. There are so many simulations that can happen that you can control and you can immerse the students in. And it allows them to be more critical, to see what's happening, to form their own opinions. I think that's a great use of the gaming technology in the curriculum, because I think people, and we'll get to this, are scared of oh, I can't use it. Well, you don't have to use it. You're just allowing the students to use it and to be within that engine. Your question, your assessment can still be the same. They're just gathering that knowledge in a different way.
Amazing.
Before answering that question, I want just to highlight on something. I think that it's very fundamental in the way that we need to think about game. So I want to start with that try, for the whole audience there, that when we first think of game, we always think of play. And when we think of play, we always think of this is not serious.
Yeah.
So, and I think play is serious, specifically nowadays with all the technologies out there, with the gaming technologies out there, with the opportunities that you could provide for actually students to improve their learning process and their learning outcome. Not only that, you also help the student in becoming more literate when it comes to technology, which is technology nowadays is not a tool anymore. So it is a very important aspect of our current life. And then the sooner you can inject that to the students, the better and the more prepared they will be for the future. So of course, answering the question, you have critical thinking, problem solving, focusing, analyzing, making decisions, taking decisions. And all of these are actually enhance the learning process and outcome.
Yeah, and I think just adding about what you said, it's a tool. It's integrated into all aspects as well now. And it will be integrated even more into our lives. This gaming technology will be integrated more into what I hope it will be integrated more into our lives moving forward.
How do you think gaming technology can be integrated into lesson plans and curriculum frameworks?
So there's a few ways of doing it, and I've seen it done really well in primary education, predominantly because of a program called Scratch and Minecraft, which we've all heard of. So Scratch is a visual coding language, but you can use it you can give students problems once they know how to do the programming, which would be done in their computing lessons. You can give them programs outside of their computing lessons with Scratch for them to solve. They can present information in a more interesting way. They don't have to write a Word document or a PowerPoint. They can present an animation, which is powered by Scratch, which is technically not really gaming software, but is a really nice soft introduction to it. But then you have Minecraft, and I have delivered maths lessons, science lessons, history in Minecraft because of the countless tools that are available in Minecraft and the lesson resources. Microsoft have provided fantastic resources for teachers to be able to use this. Then you get a little bit further into Roblox, another great space for collaboration, for teamwork, which teach those soft skills about being able to work together, being able to work in a team. And then the newest addition to this, I would say, is the Fortnite Unreal Editor, or Unreal Editor, UEFN. They've taken a massive IP, which everybody knows, and integrated it and turned it into curriculum, which I think is fantastic. You have to be a little bit more of an expert for that, a little bit more, but there are so many resources online, so many free resources I will add online for you to do that. All you need is a little bit of time, which teachers probably don't have, but a little bit of time to try and introduce that. But going back to the question about being integrated, it's about allowing the students potentially a different way of presenting their information. Rather than it being written, it can be presented in a game, it can be presented in a space. I've done some work where it was in the Unreal Engine, but you could do this in Minecraft, you could do this in Roblox, where the student work was presented in an auditorium. It was like a museum. So rather than it just being a PowerPoint, it was an interactive museum, and I could kind of see the narrative. That's very simple to do in Minecraft with the text blocks. And I guarantee most students in year 4 upwards could definitely do that already. Could definitely present their work in a unique way. And you'd be surprised. I was really surprised at what the students were able to produce. That is from primary up to 18. But Dr. George, you can answer the question as well about at a higher age level as well at university.
So yes, thank you, Michael. So in my career path, before I became the director of the Center of CRID, I used to be an administrator. I used to be the chairperson of the department. So part of what I did is I created curriculums. Of course, I fixed curriculums, I evolved curriculums, I adapted, and all of these. So one of the things that is very important, even now in my current position, is to try to inject emerging technologies, and into the actual curriculum. So I would say that for the teachers and professors out there, so first you have to look at your learning outcome. So when you look at any course or any kind of delivery of any type of information, you have to see, so what is the goal? What are the learning outcome of actual that course? And then you have to think how gaming techniques or how an actual technology could help you to reach that goal. And you could map that with a different type of potential gaming that could provide that opportunity. Then the next step would be look at the different applications out there, see what type of application can help you in actually injecting this. And of course, nothing happened without the actual infrastructure behind all of this. So you need to make sure that you have the right hardware, the right network, anything that would relate to that, so that you could also make it happen. And of course, you need to also train your faculty and professor and teacher to actually be able to use these technologies and use these techniques in order to, so it's a kind of a whole change of a mindset of how you could actually inject this into curriculum to make it actually viable, and also to reach the goal of the course itself, and to actually augment the results into that course. And in the video that I don't know if they will show or will show, so you could see the engagement of students. There's a lot of positive. We're going to talk later about it. Like, when we did the survey, we saw a lot of positivity in how these technologies, how these techniques have actually improved and actually, helped the student learn and absorb the material.
And I will add as well onto what you said there, and I think it's really important when we talk about how can it be integrated slowly and carefully. I think if you just throw everything at it and you expect it to be this miracle technological solutionism, it has to be done with a purpose. You can't just say, oh, now we're doing games because it's cool. There is, like you said, the learning objectives. What are you trying to do, and how can it enhance and underpin what you're doing? It's not going to replace, but how can it enhance the offering? Not replace. We're not talking about it replacing technology.
No, absolutely not.
It's about how it can enhance.
It's you could think of it as an augmented aspect, as an added value, and so forth. Like you could think, let's say we used to look at a building, or we used to look at a certain history just through the pages. Yeah. Now with immersive technology, you can actually visit it. You can actually see it immersed all around you in 3D. You could see the proportions, the scale. I mean, say this to student looking at a page as a 2D page, or tell them to virtually visit. Sure. I mean, that is a definitely different game. Yes. And one more thing that I would add to this, once this is all done, because we've been through this, and it's very important to know where you're standing once you do that. Very important actually to assess after all of that. So to ask the student through a survey or through evaluation, understand, so what is, what was positive, what was negative, and keep on improving, because that's, they are the users, they are the ones that are learning. And also, of course, also ask the teachers, so what was difficult, what was challenging, and so forth, and keep on improving, because, technology is a moving target, and you have to keep on, moving with it, and you have to keep on improving with it. So the American University in Dubai is very progressive on that. So we try to make sure that we bring it as soon as possible, we inject it as soon as possible, because, the most important thing is we need to prepare our graduates to be able to work. And then now you cannot dissociate that from technology.
And again, just go back, I think we're neither of us are advocating for it taking over, because there are elements of the curriculum that absolutely still need to be taught in the traditional way, but there are aspects that can be enhanced to I believe that we're not advocating for a complete takeover of technology.
So how can teachers address the concerns about screen time and potential distractions when using gaming technology in the classroom?
Yeah, so that's one that question's come up quite a lot, and I think
I think not only teachers, also parents.
yeah, exactly. I think we have the same question.
Technically, yes. Yes.
It's about self-regulation, isn't it? It's about teaching self-regulation. I think the UK government are passing a policy that they're banning mobiles in schools. They're banning mobile phones in schools, and they're saying this is how it should be done. So who's going to teach that self-regulation? The mobile phone is a tool that we all use every single day in our jobs. And they're taking that essential tool away. So it's about self-regulation. If we don't, because they're going to play video games. They're going to play video games. They're going to look at their screens. There was a huge drive on moving away from screens after COVID, of course, because everyone was sat at home learning, and that was terrible. But it needs to be integrated about the self-regulation, because if we're, as the educators, as the adults in the room, and again with the parents not teaching self-regulation, where are they going to get it from? Integrating it in a way where they have exposure to it is better than completely, because they're going to want to do it anyway. So allowing them to be able to have it in the curriculum, in their class time, is measurably better than just taking it away, in my opinion. And there are studies, and there's lots of studies that show that the integration is better than abstinence, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I would augment on what you said, is rethink it in a different way. Rethink the mindset about it, instead of you having issue of, oh, how can I use it? Not like like not using it, but okay, if this is happening, so how I can make it an advantage for our kids, for our students, how we can use that technology or screen time in order to teach them more, or in order to make them more aware of things. So I would say, first, rechange the mindset about it. Second is, for example, you could set guidelines. So you could say, these are the guidelines for this. Make sure you do this and this and this. For example, breaks. Make sure that you stop at one time. Like, for example, in virtual reality, when we have the student using virtual reality, you put on the headset, and then you're totally isolated from the surrounding. So I always say, okay, I at the beginning, give them these guidelines. Make sure that you don't stay for a long time. Just also to relax your eyes. Make sure that if you have motion sickness, how you can deal with motion sickness, and so forth. So it's very important to educate them, to inform them, to give them set of guidelines. Also to monitor, like if you feel students are staying over time, so you have to just remind them. Even some applications now, they put inside their application, when you're using it, they put a reminder for you. Oh, you've been here for 20 minutes, or they put a clock so that you can you could know, and you can realize, oh, I've been there for 1 hour. Because sometimes, specifically when you are totally immersed in technology, you tend to lose time, and because you're very engaged, you're very it's very close to reality. It's just virtual. So you need some kind of a reminder. Okay, get out. Okay, stop now. Okay, relax a little bit. And this is what even in the classroom I try to say to students. Okay, let's take a break every 15 minutes. Take a 2 minutes break. Also, the other way around it is not just take a break and not do nothing. Just let them get out of it, and then do a different type of conversations, discussions, information. This is what I do, for example, in class. So I tell them, okay, get out, and then let's discuss this. Or let me give you this information, then you can go in again. So this in and out, it's kind of controlling the time that they will be spending in using the technology.
And going back to the distractions as well, they're going to have their devices with them. They're going to have their mobile phones with them, their iPads with them. So use them, because then they're not a distraction. If you're integrated, they're not a distraction. They're only a distraction if they're a distraction. If you use them, they're not a distraction.
Good point.
That's the change of the mindset.
Yeah. I think that's.
Okay, we've addressed the.
Yeah.
We've addressed that.
Yeah, we have addressed that. Yeah, we have. Yeah. Sorry. You're right. Sorry, I was looking at it.
So these kind of thinking more ahead, and how we think emerging technologies are going to affect or affecting academia.
Well, you can speak on this.
George.
You want? Okay.
Because you're doing it
So-
right now.
So first, when we think about emerging technologies, there's a lot of technologies. So I could definitely shed light on the one that actually we are using at the moment, because they are a lot, and you can you try to bring them in, but you also have to see how this technology helps the curriculum, how this technology is relevant to what you're doing. I mean, specifically in the School of Architecture and Design, and where the CRID is housed, we mostly focus on design, and we mostly focus on whether creation of virtual spaces or spaces, and also creation of product design, design itself as a product. So it's very important to actually see how this technology can help. So we have, specifically at the center, we have three main technologies that we focus on, which is artificial intelligence, virtual reality, and augmented reality. Of course, all of these technology require an infrastructure and require a physical existence. I mean, a lot of people think, oh, you're working in virtual, so technically everything is online. No. Everything in the cloud? No. So the idea is you require a physical existence with a physical workstation, with the physical devices that so people could use them, so that they could go into these type of worlds. So applications, computer hardware, all of these are part of it, so that to be able to actually allow this type of activities. So, for example, in generative AI now, specifically in design, is used. You have the text to text, text to image, text to video, and recently there's a lot that evolving text to 3D model and so forth. And this is not going to stop. So generative AI is here to stay, and it's going to disrupt everything. And so better to to put it into the academia, give it to students at an early time, so they master it. Because that doesn't mean it replaces the fundamentals. So what it means is we teach the fundamental, but then we add and augment with these technology in this way. So when students are graduated or students master this, they will be better than anybody else who don't have these actual skills. I'm talking fundamental skills plus the technological skills. So generative AI is the one that we have in the center, and we inject it very much into a lot of the curriculums. Also, we have virtual reality. We have specific courses that cater to. We have virtual DDFT 473, which is virtual environments. This is actually focuses on creating three-dimensional architectural spaces using virtual reality inside virtual reality. So the students spend more than 50 hours inside, of course, not continuous. But the idea is, because the center is the first and only that is VR Sketch certified, Gravity Sketch certified. So we try to, once the student take these courses, we also give them these certification that are industry, from the industry themselves. And of course, in order to do that, you have to have someone who's certified as well in the center. So what happened is, so after they spend these 50 hours, let's say in virtual environment, they create the space. I mean, the video will show the outcome of that. Yeah. So they actually get a certification from VR Sketch. Currently, we're doing virtual design, and then it's more of a product design, and then mostly focuses on Gravity Sketch. So we use Gravity Sketch as one of the applications inside virtual reality as well to design. We have a design brief, and they have to do it, and then once they do it, of course, they have to portray it using animation and so forth. So what I saw in all of this practice is now technology is not only a tool, and this is from an educator perspective. I think emerging technologies, whether VR, AI, or augmented reality, they are becoming kind of a co-creator with you. So in a sense that it improves, your actual outcome. It improves your not only learning process, but also it improves you thinking of how you want to design. I give you an example. We used to design everything using 2D at the beginning. So you have a paper, you sketch something, and now you have the opportunity that you can directly create a three-dimensional aspect out of the thin air. So it's like me and you seeing the room, and then I would do this, and then you'll be able to see an object that I had in mind. Not only that, you'll be able to change it. We'll be able to discuss, okay, is this what I want? Do I need to change this? Do I need to change the color? Do I need to change the form? Anything can happen, and we're doing it now in the center and at the school. The idea is this was never before. This is phenomenal, because if you are a designer for a 3-dimensional elements, it's better to be able to do it in 3D before than doing it in 2D and so forth. So this is an example of
And also, again, going back to how it's affecting academia, and talking about generative AI as well, and talking about it being a tool. 20 years ago, when the internet was widespread in education, they were like, how are we going to integrate this? Now you couldn't run a curriculum without the internet. It's like our entire life. So it will absolutely affect it will affect it, and it's about a tool, and it's about how it's used. So
it's affecting the profession itself.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we sometimes have even professionals who come in and they ask us, okay, so can we take the course? Can we see how we could use these technologies so that they could embed them in their own, industry or discipline and so forth? And I'm not talking only, let's say, design. I mean, you have all the disciplines now they want to
Absolutely,
do this.
yeah.
I mean, we're talking biology, we're talking psychology, we're talking, engineering and so forth. So they are all actually wanting to use this, so because it's a very powerful tool. They are very powerful tools.
And how can gaming technology differentiate instruction and accommodate diverse learning styles and abilities?
So again, just talking from my experience as well, I'm sure you can talk on this as well. Traditionally, education, everyone is, well, again, I don't not speaking for everyone in every school and every teacher, but you could argue the majority are doing the same task. Obviously, it's differentiated. It's differentiated really well for the ability of the learners.
That's an excellent point. I know where you're heading. Yes, sir.
Good. Do you want to finish?
No, please.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
No, I'm nervous. But the idea that they can accommodate a learner who would prefer to present the work in a different manner, as we spoke earlier on, it allows that learner to be able to excel, progress, and attain, following a path they're very, very interested in, following a path that they might be arguably more creative, following, and again, assessing against the same rubric, assessing against the same set of skills, but it's presented in a different way, and it allows for a different,
More inclusive.
I suppose, yeah, just allowing a different way of presenting the work is more inclusive, but it also allows for a different mindset, a different approach. And I mean, there are studies on, like, you know, that like doing the work in different ways and presenting the work in different ways, and that's the best way of doing it. Again, you have the time limitation, but if it's integrated, if it's planned, it can be a really useful tool to allow certain learners to present their work, their opinions, their narrative, and their feelings in a way where they can progress if the curriculum and the rubric allows.
I mean, definitely. To augment on that, think of it like that. It's adaptive and personalized learning.
Yeah.
So in this way, as in games you have level of difficulties, right? So some people would like to be more challenged. Some people, don't want to be more challenged and so forth. And you could cater to different level of challenges depending on the ability and capacity of the student, and you can level them up. And I think that is one of the main thing about gaming, is to allow that possibility to be adaptive and also to be personalized to that. Add to it, for example, from the immersive type of technology, what you could do, you could have a safe environment. Like, for example, for training, something that could be dangerous or something that could be, taxing financially. So you could create simulations, virtual environments where they are safe. They could try as much as they want. They could fail. They can fail as much as they want without really the danger of failing. And this will actually build the personality of the student to allow them to, to fail, learn, and relearn. And I think that's one of the biggest advantage.
Yeah, I call it probe, hypothesize, reprobe. It's the same thing what I've been talking about for 20 years. But again, going back to it about this enhancing the curriculum, not replacing, there will still be students who are like, no, I want to write a document. I want to write with pen and paper. But there'll be others who don't. And that's about that inclusive, different approach to it, as long as it's integrated, as long as it's done well, as long as it's not just a knee-jerk reaction to, oh, it needs to happen. We're not just introducing AI, we're not just introducing Roblox or the Unreal Engine. It has to be purposeful, slow, meaningful, and impactful, in my opinion.
Yes. And there's a lot of applications that are being evolved. You have applications that create applications. Like Unreal, and then you have the amount of applications that are like becoming more and more, and they are popping up as we speak. So this is like a lot of resources that can be used.
And how can gaming technology foster collaboration and critical thinking skills among students?
I'm sure George will speak on this in a second, but again, a lot of work done about when the kind of internet was introduced into schools, and then with the technologies such as the iPads introduced schools initially, they were consumers of this. It was just a digital version of a textbook, which was really good and really engaging. But that engagement dipped quite quickly when they realised that they were just being conned. It wasn't really that engaging at all. The potential that gaming technology has, as well as other technologies, I'm aware that there are other things that do this as well, but gaming does it exceptionally well, is that they are creators of that content, not end users. So as creators of this content, for example, a museum or an auditorium where they can write about a critical reflection of some poetry, but they create it. The soft skills that are developed if they're doing that as a team, whereas it problem solving, communication, critical thinking, because it's not just then the work they're doing, which they are doing. They're presenting work on poetry, for example, in an auditorium, but they're also learning the soft skills they would not necessarily get if they were just doing that one piece. It was very focused. They're still doing that piece. They're still creating that piece of work for English that they were measured against. However, while they're creating something in a game engine, for example, in a team, they're learning those soft skills that they would need when they go and get a job. So and again, it's about enhancing their learning as well. They're still doing their work, their English work. They're still going to do their job for their history. They're just using this technology, and in doing so, are developing communication skills, soft skills, teamwork. The things that are sometimes overlooked because the curriculum is so packed and the exams don't move. Right? They are when they are. So there is so much emphasis on driving towards that.
Yeah, I mean, I would say not only we need creators, but we still need users as well. Because creators need users and users need creators. So I would see both are very, very important. I can give you examples of how collaboration, when you're in a virtual environment, you could have your own avatar, you could have multiple people in the same space, like in the real world, but in the virtual world. And one of the exercises that I did within the course was to actually bring a student together in a collaborative lab, and then they had to design one thing together where they need to build a staircase. That was one of the assignment, and they need to build the staircase together. And the students told me that it was one of the first time where they actually really understood how to do that. I mean, because we used to tell them build staircase using the screen, like 3D modeling, or basically draw that by hand or on AutoCAD and so forth. But when we did them in virtual reality, a student were able to actually kind of build it, element by element. So the feedback on that, they said that it was the first time we understood scale 1-to-1, how the staircase is, and how we needed to recalculate the steps to understand that all steps has to be equal and so forth. And I think we did not have this possibility of collaboration, of understanding, of engagement, and of really creating something out of the thin air before. And that was one of the advantages, that these technologies has provided education.
And what resources and support are available for teachers who want to incorporate gaming technology into their teaching practices?
I'll answer this very quickly. My microphone's fell off. I'll answer this very quickly because I do want to show the video as well. I do want to see some time for that video. But the resources that are available, there are loads. We talked about earlier on. There are hundreds of thousands of hours on YouTube about using this technology. If you are so inclined, if you've watched it and thought, you know what, maybe I will introduce this. There are two main things: Unity engine and the Unreal Engine. You can download. They're both free engines. They're the game tech. There is a bit of a learning curve to it, but it is fantastic to be able to introduce that, to build your own stuff, to have a play around.
But make sure you have a very powerful computer,
potentially,
yes, workstation, because they could be very taxing. Yes,
but Unity have also resources for teachers. Unity have a great teacher training event that they're doing in Abu Dhabi. They do a lot of stuff like that. Really, Unity have done a great train the trainer program where they're delivering training to teachers to integrate it into their lessons. I'm working with Epic Games and Unreal Engine to deliver training to teachers as well with so there'll be, and that's all for free, all to get people more into this, all to people to get really in using it or seeing if they can use it or introducing it a little bit slowly, impactful, purposeful into their curriculum. I know we're running out of time, but I do want to say, do we have time for the video? Do we have a few minutes? Is it working?
Yes, we have a few minutes. Yes.
Do we have the video working?
Just to add, while they're fixing the video, is that, for example, what we used to do within like the usage of Unreal, we have the twin motion, and specifically for visualization. What we do is twin motion has an amazing, materials, amazing, mega scans and brief
textures, how it looks.
Yes, and they have a lot of options that designers and and even students that they can use.
And I will say as well, twin motion does have a lower learning curve than.
Oh, definitely. Twin motion is very easy. Yes. So this is one of the tools that we use, and that's why the center itself is an academic partner for Unreal through Twin Motion, because we use it intensively in our courses and so forth. But I would say to teachers and professors, the best way to learn also, look at training and workshops, whether online or in real. Mm-hmm. So because that's the best way for them to upskill, that's the best way for them to be able to see what's happening out there and how they can inject them. Because you have a professor knows very well what they're doing in their course, so they need to understand how they could use these technology into their course. So they need to be the one that being trained, the one that actually, so that they could inject it. Otherwise, it will not work. Exactly. So you see this course, as you can see, you see the screen split into half, where you see student in the physical world with their workstation inside virtual reality, and on the right you see them working together in one virtual classroom.
Important that all those green people were the individual students.
Yes, exactly. Yes, the green are the green capsules. So here is the gamification and the virtual space of playfulness. This is where we added the gaming aspect and the idea. And then we asked students through their design brief to actually create spaces that they could be inspired by games. And so it's not only the course that itself adding gaming technique, but also the design brief was to add was to be inspired by a game and recreate space for playfulness inside virtual reality, for virtual reality, and to be experienced. And everything you see there is done through VR Sketch in virtual reality, and then moved and rendered and animated on Twin Motion. And this is, the one that we mentioned earlier. And you could see this is like one student work. This is one example. And this one specifically is, he was inspired by God of War. And then he tried to create all these different realms, being inspired by the game itself.
And so can I just say as well, just because people might look at this and be like, oh, well, they're blown away by this. Did the student have any experience in this beforehand, or is it just like...
that's important. Other than the student, they are part of the School of Architecture and Design, and they are learning design and so forth. You don't require a prerequisite for this type of course, because we teach them from scratch how to use the technology, how to use the application, how to put it on. We also give them a little bit of how not to feel sick. Motion sickness, because it can become an issue for some student, and so forth. So we tell them how to, what are the techniques in order to avoid these type of things.
And I think it's good to add as well that obviously by the time they get to you, they're older, but The only reason they're doing this with you and not earlier on is because it doesn't exist earlier in the curriculum.
No. Yes.
And that's the only reason this is being done at university. I'm not saying it could be done to this level earlier, but we don't know because no one's had that exposure. No one's been. We don't know what people
also
are capable
don't think
of.
depending on the application, like depending on what type of application you have virtual reality application that for painting, you have one for modeling, you have one for product design, you have one for spatial design, and so forth. And so depending on, in this way, not creating the application, but more using the application. But if the application allow you to create these type of spaces, because for a designer or for an architect, we create 3-dimensional spaces, whether we do them in the real world or we do them in the virtual world. Now the virtual world has the aspect to play, to meditate, to shop, to do all of that. All these spaces has to be created virtually, and architects usually create spaces. So whether architects will be creating physical spaces or virtual spaces, it's equally important. Yeah. And this is what I try to inject in everybody's mindset, that architects will not only create physical things, they will also be creating virtual things. And not mentioning, with augmented reality, you will have the digital aspect mapped on the real world, which means you will have virtual architecture or virtual asset on top of the physical asset. That's a different also aspect that could be added. So that's why when we do this, we want to make students ready for what's coming up. So they have to master these tools. Add to it generative AI when it comes, you'll be able to prompt and you will get the 3-dimensional aspect. I mean, there's a lot of things happening with technology. I think we are at a very exciting time. And I would definitely, recommend anyone who's listening to this, get on the horse, understand it. Don't have this technophobia, forget about, just try it and you'll see how the amount of advantage that you can get out of it.
Fantastic, guys. And
So-
it looks amazing.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, mate.
Perfect.
So thank you very much.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for having us.
This fascinating discussion about technology and its impact on education. It's been really, really insightful. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for hosting us. Thank you.
Thank
No problem. Thank you.